I caught my long-term girlfriend trying to baby trap me. I wasn't ready for this. She decided on her own. Owen, 2 years into our relationship, and I find myself at a crossroads, grappling with a mix of betrayal, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of loss. I'm 25, working a steady job in IT that pays well, but isn't exactly my dream career. My girlfriend, Chloe, is 22, a passionate elementary school teacher who finds joy in the simple things. A child's laughter, the quiet after a storm, and, oddly enough, the meticulous planning of lessons and active VY ties that spark creative VY tie in her students. We met through mutual friends 4 years ago, and something just clicked between us. It wasn't love at first sight, but rather a slow burn that grew stronger with every conversation, every shared silence, every moment spent together. We decided to move in together a year ago after dating for a year. It was a significant step, moving our relationship from weekend sleepovers and date nights to sharing a small but cozy one-bedroom apartment. Cohabitation was surprisingly smooth for us. We adapted to each other's habits and quirks with ease, finding comfort in the mundane tasks of daily life. Cooking dinner together, binge-watching our favorite shows, and the occasional bickering over who forgot to buy milk. Despite the typical ups and downs of any relationship, we had no constant issues or arguments. We were content, happy even, in our little bubble. From the beginning, we were always careful about contraception. We agreed on using condoms, understanding that neither of us was ready for the responsibility of a child. Our careers were just starting, our financial situation was stable but not ideal, and our VYing space was hardly sufficient for 2, let alone 3. As time passed, however, we grew more comfortable with each other and, admittedly, more careless. About a year ago, we transitioned to using the pull-out method. Yes, I know, not the smartest move, but after extensive Googling and reading various forums, we and said ourselves that the odds were in our favor. An attended 15% chance of pregnancy within a year seemed manageable. We naively thought that should an accident happen, we'd somehow be ready to embrace whatever came our way. In the tapestry of our shared life, threads of imagined futures were interwoven with the present, creating a VY-brand picture of what could be. These were not just idle fantasies, but a shared VY shine that bound us closer. Our evenings often melted into nights with conversations that stretched from the mundane to the profound. It was during these times that our dreams of marriage and a family came to life. Chloe's eyes would light up as she talked about the kind of mother she wanted to be, her voice filled with hope and excitement. We even had names picked out. If it was a girl, she would be Sophie, and a boy, Ethan. The number of children was a topic of playful debate. Chloe wanted 3, while I thought 2 was a more manageable number. These discussions were our way of painting a future together, a testament to the seriousness with which we VY'd our relationship. It was in one of these moments, lying on the couch with Chloe's head resting on my shoulder, that she showed me a TikTok reel of a baby giggling uncontrollably as his father blew raspberries on his belly. We laughed together, and in her laughter I heard the echoes of our future happiness. These moments were sacred, a glimpse into a life we both yearned for when the time was right. But therein lay the unspoken tension, timing. We agreed time and again that now was not that time. Our dreams were just that, dreams to be realized when we were ready financially and emotionally. However, the discord in our shared dreams began to surface one evening. It had been a mundane Thursday, and every way up to that point which had turned our peaceful lives upside down. I came home earlier than usual thanks to a stable and peaceful job. I called her and told her I would be home soon and wanted to have a romantic dinner with her. I walked into the house holding a bouquet of roses to give to her. Chloe looked beautiful in a red silk dress. On the table there are romantic scents and flowers. I told myself we were going to have a great night. That night we had sex. I finished her while I went to the other room to get a towel to dry her off. I returned to the bedroom and noticed something strange. She had my sperm on her finger and was taking it inside herself. According to her app, it was her ovulation time and had been for the past few days. Usly was in complete shock since I've never been in this situation before. She has been my first sexual relationship. I straight up asked her what she was doing. She looked at me and didn't say anything, or at least looked like she didn't know what to say. I asked her if she was doing what I thought she was doing, and she nodded her head and said she was sorry. She just really wanted to have a kid and got mixed signals. She apologized over and over. She didn't sleep all night. She said she just got the urge and didn't think twice because of how we're levying together, and I must not care that much because I used the pull-out method. In that moment, the air in the room felt frozen, heavy with the weight of Chloe's admission and the silence that followed. My mind raced, trying to process what had just happened, the trust one thought we shared shattered by her actions. I stood there, towel in hand, feeling a mix of betrayal, confusion, and a deep, sinking disappointment. Why, Chloe? The question escaped my lips before I could reel it back in, my voice a mix of hurt and disbelief. We talked about this, about waiting, about being ready. She sat up, the silence between us stretching. When she finally spoke, her voice was small, filled with regret. I know we did. I thought maybe if it just happened, you'd be happy about it. I see how you are with our friends' kids, and I thought. Her words trailed off, Leah vying the unsaid hanging between us. The realization that she had been willing to make such a life-altering decision without my consent, based on what she perceived as mixed signals, felt like a blow. It wasn't just the act itself, but the implication that she didn't trust us enough to make this decision together that stung the most. I sat down beside her, the anger vying way to a profound sadness. Chloe, wanting a child isn't wrong, but how you went about it, that's not how we make decisions, especially not ones as big as this. She looked away, tears starting to form in her eyes. I'm sorry. I got scared that we'd keep waiting for the right time and it would never come. I love you, and I thought this would bring us closer. Her apology, sincere as it was, couldn't immediately mend the rift her actions had caused. This isn't just about timing, Chloe. It's about trust, and right now, I don't know if I can trust you, I said, the words heavy in my mouth. We sat in silence, the GRAVY tie of the situation settling around us. The night that was supposed to be a celebration of us had turned into a crossroads for our relationship. It was clear that apologies wouldn't be enough to navigate through this. We needed to talk, really talk, about our future, our expectations, and how to rebuild the trust that had been broken. I think we need some time, I finally said, my heart heavy. Time to think about what we really want and whether we can move past this. Chloe nodded, her voice barely a whisper. I understand. My happy accident fantasy, the one we both entertained with a cavalier disregard for the consequences, had morphed into something sinister. This wasn't a playful discussion anymore. This was a calculated move, a manipulation veiled in the guise of fate. A cold anger began to simmer within me, threatening to boil over. The days following my inadvertent discovery were a blur of confusion and turmoil. Each moment spent in silence was a moment filled with the noise of my own doubts and fears. The thought of confronting Chloe filled me with an indescribable dread, yet the alternative of levying in a state of perpetual doubt was equally unbearable. In an attempt to quell the storm within, I turned to the anonymity of the internet, searching for stories similar to mine, seeking advice from those who had walked this path before. In the wake of our confrontation, a heavy silence settled over our apartment. The air felt thick with unspoken words, charged with the tension of our unresolved issues. Chloe and I moved around each other cautiously, as if navigating a minefield, afraid that any misstep might reignite the conflict. Our conversations, once filled with laughter and dreams of the future, were now clipped and strained, focusing on the mundane tasks of daily levying to avoid delvying into the emotional turmoil that lay just beneath the surface. My emotional state was a tumultuous sea of confusion, anger, and sorrow. I found myself oscillating between moments of profound sadness for what we might lose and flashes of anger at the betrayal I felt. Sleep was elusive, and when it came, it brought no relief, only dreams that replayed our confrontation in endless loops. Seeking solace, I reached out to friends and family, each conversation a lifeline thrown into the swirling waters of my despair. My best friend, Dane, listened with a sympathetic ear, offering the kind of blunt advice that only a lifelong friend could. You need to think about what's best for you, he said, a reminder that my well-being was paramount. His words, though harsh, were a balm to my wounded heart, a reminder that I was not alone. My sister, on the other hand, offered a different perspective. People make mistakes, she reminded me, her voice gentle. What matters is how they try to fix them. Her advice spoke to the part of me that still clung to the love Chloe and I shared, suggesting that forgiveness, though difficult, might lead to healing. Amidst these conflicting voices, I sought professional guidance, hoping a counselor could offer the impartial advice I so desperately need. Dr. Quinn, with her calm demeanor and thoughtful questions, provided a safe space to explore my feelings. She encouraged me to consider not only the emotional impact of Chloe's actions, but also the underlying issues that might have led to them. Understanding is the first step towards healing, she said, a statement that resonated with me. The advice I received was as varied as the emotions that racked me. Dane's words urged me to protect myself, to consider the possibility of a future without Chloe. My sister's advice, meanwhile, nudged me towards empathy and forgiveness, towards the potential for growth and healing within our relationship. And Dr. Quinn, she offered a path forward, a way to navigate the complex web of feelings and decisions that lay ahead. I thought of our beginnings, the ease of our laughter, the depth of our conversations, and how effortlessly our lives had intertwined. Then I considered the breach of trust, the weight of betrayal that had settled between us. The balance was delicate, the scales tipping with each day spent in contemplation. The decision, when it came, was not heralded by a moment of clarity or a dramatic revelation. It was a quiet acceptance of the love that remained, a love not unscarred, certainly less naive, but perhaps stronger for having weathered the storm. I choose to stay. The decision was not an absolution of Chloe's actions, nor was it a denial of the pain that had been caused. It was instead a commitment to us, to the potential of what we rebuild together, acknowledging the scars that would mark us, but also the growth that could emerge from healing. Sitting across from Chloe, the words were difficult to find, the weight of them heavier than I had anticipated. I love you, I began, the truth of those words undiminished by the challenges we faced, and I believe in us enough to want to try to work through this together. The relief in her eyes was immediate, a lightness returning to her that I hadn't seen in weeks. But there were conditions, necessary foundations for the long process of rebuilding trust. We need honesty, complete and unwavering, I said, holding her gaze, and counseling, together. We have to understand why this happened and how we can move forward without fear of repeating the same mistakes. Chloe agreed without hesitation, the seriousness of her nod and acknowledgement of the work that lay ahead for both of us. The road to healing would be long, marked by moments of doubt, fear, and perhaps even regression, but the decision to face that road together was a testament to the resilience of our love. We learned to communicate in ways we never had before, expressing our fears, our hopes, and our needs without the shadows of doubt that had plagued us. Chloe's actions, once the source of my deepest pain, became a testament to her commitment to change, to prove that our relationship was worth the effort. But the journey was not without its setbacks. There were days when the hurt resurfaced with a vengeance, days when the chasm between us seemed insurmountable. On those days, the decision to stay felt like a Herculean effort, a test of my capacity for forgiveness. Yet, as the weeks turned into months, the foundation we were building became stronger, more resilient. The love that had once felt fragile, threatened by deceit, began to flourish again, tempered by the trials we had faced. Deciding to stay with Chloe was a decision to embrace the complexities of love, to acknowledge that perfection is an illusion and that growth often comes from the most unexpected and challenging circumstances. It was a commitment to not only forgive but to understand, to not only love but to choose love even when the path was difficult. The consequences of my decision were profound, affecting every aspect of our lives. We emerged from the experience changed, not just as individuals, but as a couple. The trust that had been shattered was slowly being rebuilt, piece by painstaking piece. Our relationship, once defined by what had been lost, was now marked by what we were striving to regain. In choosing to stay, I chose the uncertainty of the future over the certainty of the past. It was a leap of faith, a belief in the power of love and forgiveness. Chloe and I, once on the brink of separation, now stood together, facing whatever the future might hold, united by a renewed commitment to each other and to the values that had guided me to my decision. This decision, born from the deepest emotional turmoil, was my testament to the enduring power of love, a love that had been tested but emerged stronger, more resilient. It was a choice not just for the present, but for the future we hoped to build together, a future where honesty, trust, and love were not just ideals, but the very foundation of our life together.